Hello, this is U.S. Immigration Attorney Sharifa Tharpe. I'm here live to take your U.S. immigration related questions. Put your questions in the comments now. So, I want to talk about another benefit of VAWA that is usually a benefit that's overlooked. So, it is a type of benefit that you get before you even get the driver's license. Before you even get the work permit, you'll get what's called a prima facie determination letter. Now, this is a lot of people, a lot of our clients will get this, and they will be like, "Okay, what is this? What do I do with it?" And there is a lot that can be done with it. Now, it does depend on the state you're in. It does depend on basically the state. The state is going to determine what kinds of benefits you get. However, the thing that is most valuable about this prima facie determination letter is that it does allow you to apply for identification in some states. So you can go to the DMV, that's the Department of Motor Vehicles, where they issue driver's licenses, and use that prima facie determination letter to get your driver's license. And so it does offer a form of identification. So, for example, in Florida, that is accepted at the DMV. The prima facie determination letter is acceptable to get a driver's license in Florida. Now, the way that it works is when we file our clients' applications, they usually review the documentation and they will issue a prima facie notice. The prima facie notice basically says, and it's great news for our clients because it says, based on their initial review of the application, they believe that our client qualifies. It's just that they have to do a more detailed review. So here you go. Here's this prima facie determination letter that you can use to go to the state and get certain benefits. Now, some states, in addition to getting the driver's license in some states, you are also able to get added benefits if necessary. Now, clients that apply for VAWA, they may be facing all sorts of different circumstances, and some of those circumstances may be that they are in a homeless shelter because the spouse threw them out of the house and they have nowhere else to go. It may be that they have no money and so they have no access to food or other resources and necessities, and in that case, the prima facie determination letter can help them to get those added additional benefits they need to stabilize their lives, at least to find housing in some states, to be able to get food assistance and medical assistance. So it is a valuable form of relief. And I know here in Florida, our clients are very excited about that, about getting the prima facie, because it at least means that they can show that they are applying for an immigration benefit and get the driver's license. Now, the way that it works is the first prima facie determination letter is usually issued for 1 year. So the expiration date is 1 year. And by then, usually our clients will get their work permit and their social security number to be able to go back and then apply for their 2 year driver's license, as well as basically they can legally work with that work permit and do everything, use it as identification. And when the travel document is attached to that work permit, which you have to apply for the travel document, it's also included. It also allows them to travel. So our clients are usually very excited. Now, if the driver's license is for 1 year, if it's based on the prima facie determination letter, or the driver's license is going to be issued on the date or a little after the date of the expiration on the prima facie determination letter. Now, this is not something that you have to keep applying for. So, say in a year's time, you still need to renew your driver's license because maybe you didn't get your work permit yet. then what you would do is go ahead and wait for the USCIS to issue that new, so they will automatically issue the new prima facie determination letter, and then they send it out in 6-month increments after that, because the way they're looking at it is that they can make a decision on your VAWA application at any point. And so they just keep extending it by every 6 months until they make a decision on your VAWA petition. Now, once they do approve the VAWA petition, it means that you're able to then you'll get issued another work permit. You have to apply for a travel document under VAWA, but you'll get another 2-year work permit that is renewable for as long as you are under the VAWA status. Then, once we've submitted the adjustment of status application, or if you're, in some cases, you may not be able to apply for VAWA for adjustment of status at the same time as VAWA. 90% of our clients are able to do that. But in some cases, they're not able to apply for adjustment of status at the same time they're applying for VAWA. In cases like that, we'd have to wait for their immigrant visa number to become current. So we still, priority dates still dictate this process of adjustment of status. And the reason why 90% of the time we're still able to apply for our clients adjustment of status along with the VAWA. Adjustment of status, by the way, is for the green card while you're waiting in the US. And the reason we're able to do file them what you call as concurrently is because the priority date is current for most of our clients. Most of our clients who are either under, so if they're the spouse of a permanent resident, their priority date is current right now. So even if you're the spouse of a permanent resident, you can apply for this if that permanent resident spouse mistreated you. And we can apply for everything because right now your priority date is current. So that is great. And this is why you should not waste any time to apply for this, because it can change at any point. And we are seeing where some cases are being delayed because now the processing times are slowing, and there are more applicants that are coming in, which means over time there could be more applicants than there are priority immigrant visa numbers to go around, and that's where we will see going out of current and back to our wait list. So if you're the spouse of a permanent resident, do not wait to apply for this because it can change at any point, and you would then be stuck on a wait list, unable to apply for adjustment of status or the work permit at the same time you're applying for VAWA. So this is why right now we're able to apply for 90% of our clients to get the adjustment of status, as well as the adjustment of status, as well as the travel document. Now, it's important for you to know that the entire process is 2.5 years long. But this is where the VAWA, getting the prima facie determination letter and then getting VAWA approved, as well as applying for adjustment of status at the same time as VAWA, gives you the work permit. So the work permit enables you to continue to work. It enables you to get the social security number while you wait for the entire process to be completed over that 2.5 year period. So go ahead, make sure that you get in touch with me should you determine that this is something you want to pursue. And we can evaluate whether you qualify and get started. Now, how do you qualify for VAWA? If you're being mistreated by a US citizen or resident spouse, a parent, if you're under 24, so under 25, you haven't reached the age of 25 yet, and you have been mistreated by a citizen parent or a permanent resident parent, or if you are the parent of an adult citizen who's age 21 and over, and they have mistreated you, could have been in the past, could have been currently, you can qualify for VAWA relief that can, upon issuance of the prima facie determination letter, may enable you to get your driver's license. Even in states right now that are anti-immigrant, like Florida, we have our clients have gotten their driver's license based on the prima facie determination letter. So, and it really depends on the state, and state laws change, if depending on the state. But most states are going to allow VAWA applicants who have a prima facie determination letter to get some form of benefit or some form of identification. And that's where you'd have to check with the DMV to see if that's going to be a possibility. That can be a possibility for you in your state. All right. So now I'm going to focus on your questions. Before I jump to your questions, this is how you can get in touch with me. My schedule is filling up, so make sure you get on the schedule ASAP so we can get to work right away to get your benefit, whatever immigration benefit you may qualify for. We get right to work as soon as we determine you qualify and you're ready to take us on for representation. Now, go ahead, go to the link in the profile on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Go to the description of the video. You'll see the Linktree link. Click on that. You'll see the button to schedule your own appointment. You don't need to call. You can schedule your appointment, and once you finalize the appointment, you are on the calendar. You can also call the office if you have questions or you need help to schedule. Call the office and they would be more than happy to assist you. That's what they're there for. And then you can also go to the website. Now, no matter how which way you decide to get in touch with us, you will speak with a scheduling coordinator who will answer any questions you have, but also assist you to schedule your appointment, because that's where you're going to get that legal advice and evaluation to determine whether this is going to be the best option going forward. Now, keep in mind that I don't just do VAWA. So what I do though is I find that clients, the first thing they think about is marriage. Um, and what I do is I don't just focus on what if your spouse is not with you on this. You can't apply for this, and a lot of attorneys will do that, where they will tell you if your spouse isn't on board, you can't apply. Now, if the usually what I find is if this spouse is not on board to help you get your documentation, my next question is usually, why is that? A spouse is supposed to look out for your best interest, that if especially if you stayed here for them, especially if you are trying to work together to build a life. A spouse is going to have your best interest at heart, and they're going to want to make sure that you get through with your papers. So my next question usually is, what's going on? I usually can tell something must be going on if your spouse is not assisting you with the process. And that's where I explore the option for VAWA, because it's usually attached to mistreatment, and this is usually the reason why they're not helping their spouse to get the papers. And same goes with parents, and same goes with children of parents, so parents of citizens or children who are under 25 of citizen or resident parents. So, but then there are other things that can qualify you, and go ahead, follow me, make sure you're following me so you learn about those ways. And these are ways that not a lot of attorneys are screening for, unfortunately. But I do this. I don't just look at the common ways through employment and marriage, but I ask my client, people who turn into my clients, the way it starts is I ask them, you've been here a while without your papers. I know you've been through some stuff, because usually when you're here without your papers, you have to go through a lot of hardships to survive here. And so I will ask them questions that are geared towards figuring out what other alternatives are there if the common options don't work for them. For example, T status, asylum. Will these work for them based on what they've been through? And this is why my consultation is a detailed one and why it is valuable, because you not only get insight about the options you believe you have, but also options that you didn't think you had. All right, so go ahead, get in touch with me, get on my schedule before it fills up so we can talk, because I want to help you. All right, so let's go ahead and answer some questions. I'm going to go through these questions now. So just hang tight while I go through your questions. So, Sophia, hi, it's acceptable in Texas. I don't know if this is a question or if it's a comment. But what you have to do is to figure out if it's acceptable in your state, you need to contact the DMV. So, for example, when here in Florida, as well as certain other states, if you take the prima facie determination letter, if you take your, passport, you take your the receipt notice, all of them original documents, then you would be able to get the driver's license here at the DMV. However, different states function differently, and even from county to county, from town to town, they may have different protocols. I mean, they are supposed to abide by the same rule, but they may have different protocols on how they handle that internally in the office. And so this is where it's important to check with the DMV to see if you qualify for the driver's license in the state you're in. All right. All right. So if you want to talk, go ahead, call the office, get on my schedule, and I would be more than happy to discuss with you your options. So if my passport is a little rough, does immigration still take it? Well, as long as it's not, as long as it's not destroyed and it's in good shape, you carry that passport with you for 10 years, um, usually. So even if it's a little tattered, as long as they can make out the information and it's not mutilated in any way, or it's, there's no unauthorized writing or stamps in there, it should be fine. Yeah, but I don't know what your passport, what the situation is with your passport. Now, keep in mind that I am not your attorney. I am here to give general information. So if you would like personalized legal advice, this is where it's important to schedule an appointment. So on YouTube, so you have an appointment. I can't wait to speak with you. Definitely, I'm also hopeful for you. The fact that you're scheduling, I know I'm very hopeful too. And you're welcome, Scott, for all the information. How long does VAWA take to be approved? So we're seeing a 2.5 to 3 years, but keep in mind that the benefits that you get while you're applying for VAWA are valuable, because you get as I was saying, the benefits of the prima facie determination letter, the work permit while you're waiting, as long as we apply for the adjustment of status, and the travel document if you want to travel as well. All right. Hi, if after 1 year she hasn't gotten her work permit and prima facie expired last month, what to do. So the prima facie is usually automatically issued, and you should be receiving one soon. Unfortunately, yes, we do see a lag sometimes in the issuance of the prima facie. Now, when it comes to the work permit, it's taking about 1 year for some people to get the work permit. So just hang tight. And then also, did you apply properly? Is everything going well with the work permit application? You also have to make sure you look into that. Okay, what happens when all documents are sent in and they ask for repeated documents? Also, the police record will expire soon, which they have over 1 year. So, usually, when they're asking for documents repeatedly, there's maybe something in that document that's not acceptable. And so, you have to address why they are not accepting the document. Sometimes they will be very vague, which can be frustrating. They will say something like, your document was not acceptable. Please provide the so and so again, or like a copy of your passport. We received a copy of your passport. However, it's not acceptable. Please provide another copy. And you may be looking at it and trying to figure out why. So, another thing is it might be error, and this is where communication with and it sounds like this is the National Visa Center, but this is where communication with the National Visa Center may be essential here. But that can be frustrating because every time they do that, it delays your process by months. I have a social security and ID. Can I get a job although I'm on an L1 visa and lost my job 2 months ago? So in your case, you need to make sure that you seek legal advice. Because if you have an L1, but then you were terminated from the job and the L1 is based on the job, then it means that you're no longer valid to work under that L1 visa. So you're not eligible to work under that L1 visa. Usually you'd have to make sure that within a certain period of time, a new employer then transfers transfers the L1 to the new employer. But it doesn't sound like that happened. Another thing is though, in certain cases, so under certain circumstances, but usually if you have a pending petition, they will still allow you to get a work permit. So it's based on compelling circumstances. And this is where the consultation is going to be very important because I don't know all the facts involved. Is another employer petitioning for you? What happened with this current employer? And time is ticking. So you want to make sure you get back on track because if you are working without a permit under the L1, it means that it could potentially affect your ability to qualify for adjustment of status in the future or affect your ability to get the change of status to another status or to transfer to a new employer, especially after the 2 months. So you want to evaluate your options ASAP. What can I use my ITIN for? Asking for a friend. So the ITIN is for, usually it's now issued by the IRS for purposes of filing your taxes. And so it's not to be mistaken as an alternative to the SSN for any other reason. So for example, the ITIN can be used on a 1099 by someone who wants to hire you. However, it's not meant to, for example, for background check purposes, for you to go and get hired as a W 2 employee or as an employee of a company. The ITIN is not going to cut it for that employer, or it shouldn't. The ITIN can also be used to open a bank account. It can be used for business purposes if you want to start a business. It can be used to apply for loans. However, it is not, you can't write this number out as your SSN. It's completely different from the SSN. The SSN is in this country, SSN is used for all sorts of different purposes, all sorts of reasons. I mean, anything you do know, they ask for your SSN, but the ITIN has a limited use and it's usually only for tax returns, filing your taxes, and connecting your filings with the IRS to you as an individual. What's your best advice for people filing for themselves if a court case just got dismissed and if you're currently in the process but going to court? Get a lawyer. That's my best advice. Um, so after getting the work permit, do I go to the SSN office and apply for an SSN card, or does USCIS send in the mail? Great question. So what happens is once a USCIS, so there is a checkbox on the form that indicate you where you can indicate and where we indicate for our clients that we would like the Social Security Administration to issue and Social Security number upon approval of the work permit. And so what happens is once the work permit is approved, it is usually sent to the Social Security uh, administration to issue the social security number. What I have been seeing lately and what I now some numbers come to us along with the work. So like within a week to 2 weeks after the work permit comes, we get the social security number for our clients automatically. But it is sent by the Social Security Administration, and the USCIS usually sends instructions to the Social Security Administration to issue that number. But lately, for some of our clients, we have had to say, after waiting a week or two and not seeing the number, we have had to instruct them to set an appointment at the office and just go in and get it. And usually, when they go in, get and apply on their own, they get the number no problem. So if you are waiting for your social security number and it's taking too long, just go to the office and get it, and it will be fine. Please, how does she know if the application was done well? Please, she has the receipts for I-130. And so this is, how would you know? Usually, if you did it yourself, it means that you maybe wouldn't know. For me, I can do these applications with my eyes closed because I've done so many of them. And so, really, it would be to make sure that you find representation, preferably before you file, by the way, because another problem is, and another reason why sometimes I can't assist people is that they have already filed their application. And then when things go wrong, I get a call, which is fine. That's smart for them to seek assistance. But it depends on what the problem is. And if the problem is, sometimes the problem is something I can't fix, or it's going to be very difficult to fix. And so, preferably, you should be finding representation before you file your application. Otherwise, if you're worried about something in your application, what you do need to do is check with the USCIS. Why is your application taking so long? Do they need anything? Is everything going to the correct address? Those are ways to just make sure that everything is going well at the USCIS. And then if something comes up where you're worried about or you're worried about it, then you need to get legal representation. When a case is at National Benefit Center, what does that mean? So it means that they're probably getting ready to schedule that appointment or send you the benefit. So they're um, the two places, two times or two occasions I see it at the National Benefit Centers where they're at the end point of sending the green card or scheduling the interview for the green card, or they're about to issue that work permit. How long after you do the biometrics do you get another update on the next step? So it's difficult to say. The biometrics are all over the place, and so I don't usually mark a timeline after the biometrics. Even if case got dismissed, you still need a lawyer. Yes, you're never going to catch me saying no. Um, I went to my green card interview in June of this year, and they send out another interview notice for next month. So if this is marriage based, then it means that you need to be concerned. This is called the Stokes interview. And when they schedule a second interview, it means that they have suspicions of fraud, or that at that minimum, usually if they don't think the marriage is real, the next thing that comes to mind is fraud. And so you have to be very careful about preparing for your interview. And this is, in the case that it's a marriage base. Usually, and also in other cases where they may schedule another interview, if you're going applying for the green card based on another type of relationship, they may have additional questions about your background or your qualifications for the green card. So be very concerned and make sure you're careful. Make sure that, at this point, you get the representation that you deserve to understand maybe what's going on. Sometimes it's a red flag that's raised at the interview or in your background. And so now they're going to schedule that Stokes interview. Usually, the Stokes interview, it's based on my own observations of it, it is a tough interview. It is one of those where they will separate you and your spouse, and they will ask the same questions to see what your answers are going to be. And it sometimes does end not well, just because if there is any difference in the statements of the spouses, they usually jump to the conclusion that the marriage isn't real, and they put a lot of weight on that and that conclusion on that interview. At that point, you have to, sometimes they send a notice of intent to deny or a straight up denial letter. And that's where you have to figure out how to address this. So speak to your lawyer if you have one, or make sure that you go ahead and get counsel. All right. So I do have an employer who wants to sponsor me, but I have to go back to my original country to change from L1 to H1B? Or can I do it from here, considering I overstayed for weeks? So this is where you need legal advice. Do not skip out on this legal advice, because your situation is getting complex by the minute. But once you overstay, then it can lead to a very big problem. Now, the thing about it is that there are ways, so they do count the number of days that you overstay for. And if you have not reached a certain number of days, you may still be able to qualify for to change your status from one to the other. But this is where it's very important to evaluate your situation in detail to get those specific dates. When did you lose your job? When did you lose your status? How many days exactly have you overstayed? But once, yes, with adjustment of status, it's very difficult, if not impossible, under employment base to be able to adjust status once you have overstayed. Once you're out of status, it is usually they bar you from doing adjustment of status. That's how you'd be able to get your green card. When a case is at the National Benefits Center, what does that mean? So it means that they're continuing to process your application. They may issue the work permit, they may schedule the interview, or they may send the green card in the mail. My mom is a green card holder and my brother is a citizen. I have overstayed my visa. Can they file for me? So when you say file, they can file a petition for you. However, the petition is different from getting the green card. So what the petition is not going to lead you to be able to stay here and get the green card. That's what's going to matter here for purposes of getting the green card. Now, if you're 21 or over, then it's a 5 to 7 year process through your green card holder parent, as long as you're unmarried. If it's your brother who you apply for, it goes to 14 years at a minimum. And what it literally takes 5 to 7 years or the 14 years, depending on who you apply through, to get a current priority number to be able to apply for adjustment of status. But the problem here is that you've already overstayed, and there's a bar to applying for adjustment of status while being here. You'd have to go through a separate process, maybe called the I-601A process, to be able to get forgiveness for the overstay and go to the embassy to get your green card. But that wouldn't be for another 5 to 7 years at a minimum if you did it through your parent or if they changed the law on this. How much is the most I should pay a lawyer? I don't know. Lawyers have different fees. And so there's no set fee on an attorney, and the attorney is going to quote you based on their services and what it takes in the case. All right, let me go ahead to YouTube, where we have a number of questions also. How long it takes a vow to be approved? I answered that. Does that show after you do your biometrics? I'm sorry, I don't know what shows. Okay, so good afternoon. Hi, Lindy. What exactly is a priority date? What does it mean for you? Does it mean you are close to getting your green card? I keep confusing it with processing date. All right, so the priority date, I could spend a whole live on this. And I think once you understand the priority date, a lot of this will make sense for you, because a lot of people ask me, can I just apply for the green card through my citizen parent? And they're focused on the fact that they have a citizen parent. And so when I tell them that this is a 5 to 7 year process, they're usually like, but I have a citizen parent. And I know so and so who got it in so and so months. Why can't I get it in that amount of time too? And this is based on the priority date. The priority date is basically how you get on a wait list. Unfortunately, some categories in the family based process, they have a wait list. I refer to it as a wait list. And the priority date dictates where you go on this wait list. So, for example, there's for example, F1 category. That's the son or daughter of a US citizen who is age 21 and older and unmarried. Now, if you're in this category, um, and they are right now processing 7 years from now, right? 6 to 7 years from now is the date. So that means it's going to take you 6 to 7 years for them to get to your date. And that the reason they have this, the reason it takes this long is because they have a restricted number of visas that they can issue a year. And so there are so many applicants who are applying for this category that the applicants outnumber the number of available prior immigrant visa numbers they have available. And so the priority date dictates who's going to get that number in that specific year. And if you are, so for example, say it's 55,000 per year, right? And then there's 550,000 applicants, then you know that it's going to take 10 years for the person who just applied to get off that wait list, because it's 10 years long. They issue 55,000 one year. Then the next year is another 55,000, and then the next year is another 55,000. And because of that, if there are 550,000 applicants total, they are going to have to wait for a long time until it gets to their number. And so the way that they place you on this wait list is with a date. It's kind of like a first come, first serve basis, and you get a date to tell you when it's your turn. And that's called the priority date. And the priority date shows on your petition. So when you look at your petition, it states clearly on the I-130 petition, for example, it's going to state clearly the priority date. And then, if the way you know what date they're processing now is if you go to the National Visa Bulletin, every month they update that list, the list of dates. You're going to look at your category. So, for example, the category I just talked about, the F1 category, you're going to scroll down, look at that category, and you're going to be able to see what date they're processing now and estimate how long it will get to until it gets to your date. So it's complex, but I think if you learn that, then you'll understand when it's time to apply for your green card through adjustment of status, and also you'll understand why it's taking so long or when exactly you should expect your decision. You're welcome, New Beginnings. All right. All right. So I got a prima facie, but not able to get a driver's license in VA. I'm still waiting for my work permit. So yes. So in some states, they don't allow you to get it until you get that work permit, and then you're able to get it. It just it differs from state to state. All right. So how long to put a VAWA case together? So it depends on my clients, but we put it together. Now, the thing about it is one thing I do stress to my clients is quality is key. I don't run a corner shop where I just roll out paperwork. I'm a law firm. I am an attorney in a law firm, and we focus on detail. If you're rushing an application out because you want to get your driver's license or your work permit, then it could very well mean that mistakes are made. And as a result of that, you end up with your work permit, but you don't end up with your green card because a mistake was made because you're expecting someone to just roll out paperwork really fast. So we're very detail oriented. So one, how quickly we work as quickly as we can, but we also work to make sure that our clients' information is accurate, that we're making sure we're not making any detrimental mistakes on their applications, that we're covering them legally, that we understand the legal issues in their case. This is not paperwork. This is about the legal issues involved in their application. So, I don't function like these corner shop notarial people that put themselves out there as immigration specialists, and then they hurry up and do a rush job and then mess up your paperwork. So, how long it takes is going to depend on your case. I represent clients who some of them may be permanently barred, and we have to work on getting forgiveness for that permanent bar. I work with clients who they have other issues that require waivers. I have other clients who have filed their applications before, so they filed their applications before, and for the maybe the spouse isn't cooperating any longer, and we have to make the switch from the marriage-based process to the new process. And in that case, we have to look over their file thoroughly and carefully to make sure that we cover our clients' bases. So, um, how long does it take? It's going to depend on the case, the complexity of the case to get it out. But I definitely can't tell you it's going to be something that I can get you out tomorrow, because what matters is the quality of our representation and the quality of the product that we are sending out in our clients' names. What if you already have a driver's license in another country? So in some states, in some states, you're able to apply for. Let me know if you can hear me because I just got interrupted. Just let me know if you have sound on Instagram. Let me know. I know we have sound still on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch, but I need to make sure I have sound here on Instagram. One person, can you let me know whether you can hear me? All right, so I'm going to keep talking until someone tells me that they can't hear me. All right. All right, so I was brought here when I was 4 years old. I do have my high school diploma. So now there is DACA, but unfortunately, DACA is on hold right now. If there are any other options, I need to speak with you. For example, I noticed you said that you were brought here. How were you brought here? Um, okay, so I am seeing someone saying they're not able to hear me. So I'm just going to, okay. I'm just fixing a technical issue here. All right, so I was just answering the hello. I apologize for the technical difficulties. I had an interference here with the signal on Instagram. Now, I was answering the question about being brought here when they were 4 years old. Um, Now, is there a way? I guess the next question is there a way or options to get status based on that? So, this is where we need to talk about what you've been through. Because I noticed in the question it says, I was brought here when I was. Oh, thank you so much. Thanks here on YouTube. So, I had technical difficulties on Instagram, and so I was checking there to see if they could hear me. But thank you so much for your answers. And Akuna, you're welcome. Thank you. All right. So I noticed that in that question, you said, I was brought here when I was 4 years old. If you were brought here when you were 4 years old, how were you brought here? I would really like to know your story, because if there is something in your background that allows you to then apply for certain types of immigration relief, I would be able to find it by speaking to you about what you went through when you were young. Thanks so much for joining me again. So I lost sound, I'm back, and I hope I can't remember who asked the question, but I hope that answers your question. I would love to talk to you to find out what you went through from you were 4 up until now to figure out if there's an option for you. here. Now, there is DACA, but DACA is now on hold due to a court order. I'm in the US. My husband filed for me. Haven't gotten green card just yet. My travel document has expired. How do I get an emergency travel document? So you do have to contact the USCIS, and you can also schedule an info pass to be able to show them what the basis of the emergency is. So if someone is sick or I hope uh, it's not something too devastating, but you have to show them the basis of the emergency. You'd have to show proof of it, and then they may issue you an emergency travel document. Um, so let's see. I looked at Visa Bulletin this morning and they have passed my date. My processing date was March 15, 2015. Right now, they're processing July 15th, 2015. Should I worry because my date has passed? So you need to go ahead and check with the National Visa Center. I don't know. I'm not your attorney. I haven't reviewed your case. I haven't reviewed your documentation, but you can contact the NVC to figure out what's happening with your case right now. And you can also, you're supposed to be, upon approval of the petition, you're supposed to be able to log into the NVC to get the status on your application. All right. So I know I saw other questions coming in on Instagram, but unfortunately I lost connection and I didn't see them come back. So I'm going to call it a day. But go ahead. I'll be back Monday. I've been really good this week, I think, and with balancing our current workload, or our priorities to our clients. But also, I always enjoy connecting with you and answering your questions and telling you about the kind of cases I work on. So Monday, I'm aiming to come back at around lunchtime again to talk to you about a topic, and then you can come with your questions, any immigration related questions. So have a good weekend, everyone, and I will see you on Monday. Bye bye.